Hello,
Hello.
everybody. Hello. Welcome. I am forever Elizalate. That's what I live by, but not on purpose. Anyway, welcome everyone. Those of you in the chat, Angie's here, Cami, Julie. Hello and welcome. I was just having some technical difficulties. I was telling them as I rushed in here, of all times for the computer to crash. And it happened twice before we could get things up and running. And it's a new computer. We just bought it like in 2022. But enough of that. I'm so glad that people are here. And thank you all, both of you, for hosting the Little House Readathon this year. In case any of you watching don't know these two ladies, this is Naomi from Naomi's Bookshelf and Lindsay from Lindsay Reads. And is there anything you guys want to say before we get started? I'll at least let you say hello.
I am battling a cough, so I'm going to try not to be coughing too much. But hello. Yes, my name is Naomi from Naomi's Bookshelf, and I grew up on Little House on the Prairie, so it was nice to reread them again for the first time in about 4 years, the first few.
Awesome.
I'm Lindsay from Lindsay Reads, and I'm happy to be hosting this event. I also grew up on reading the Little House books and on the TV show as well. So, yeah.
Nice. And I see a few more people have gotten here. Hello, Cajun and Breezy and Ashley. Hey there, Ashley. It's so great to see you. Ashley is Faithfully Moonstruck, in case y'all don't know her. She used to do videos way back in the day. Ashley, have you done any videos lately? Do you ever think you'll be able to come back? I think you're a pretty busy homeschooling mom and all of that. So it's all good. I understand. Okay, so and Megan, oh yeah, Megan's here. Does she want to come on? I forgot to send her a link. Does she want to come on? Megan, do you want to come on? I think Naomi could share the link with you if you want to. Megan, the story girl, is Naomi's cousin and also a huge Little House fan. And I had said to Naomi if she wanted to come on with us, that would be great. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ashley says, I miss it. Maybe someday I'll do it again. Well, I hope you do. Meanwhile, are your videos still up? Like people could find you, I think. So the people who are here that have channels, of course, Angie, Literary Labors, and Breezy from Breezy Ann Reads. And I'm trying to see if there's anybody. And Megan has some videos as well. Cami, you do not, I believe. And Julie, I don't think I know you, so tell us about yourself in the comments. Any of you feel free to tell us about yourself. Also, those of you in the chat, go ahead and start talking about what you have been reading this week. I will say off the bat, I didn't get as much read as I wanted to. I listened to 4 audiobooks, and it took me all up through today. I didn't get it done in the 4 days. I just finished up my 4th one today, and I started 2 print books, which I have not finished. So I'll go ahead and show you real quick, and then you guys can have a turn. I started this one, I Remember Laura. I think, Lindsay, you read this last year.
Yes.
Was it the first time you'd read it last year?
Yes, it was.
Okay. So this is good. I've had this for several years, and I had read from it before, but I don't know if I've ever read it cover to cover. My mom gave this to me, but it is mostly reminiscences of people who knew Laura, which is basically what the title is. I Remember Laura. So it's other people's stories about her, and very nice. There's some recipes in here and things like that. So then the other one that I started that I'm just barely into is, and I just took my bookmark up. I think I'm like only on chapter 3, but it's Prairie Tale by Melissa Gilbert. I couldn't find this one on audio. I saw that I think Lindsay first told me that she has a second book out, and it is on audio, but like you said, you want to go in order, and I'm that way too. So I want to read this one first.
I had it around too, trying to find the audiobook for that one, assuming it would be available, but yeah, I couldn't find it anywhere either.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's on Audible, like to buy it, and I don't like to buy them if I can help it. So I'm reading it, and so far it's interesting. Anyway, but I did also listen to Karen Grassley's book. I just finished that today, and had some mixed feelings about that one. A little disappointing. But then I also listened to By the Shores of Silver Lake, and then The Long Winter, which is our group read. And let us know in the comments if y'all who read The Long Winter if you've read it before and didn't read it again, that's fine. If you read it with us, then that's great too. I had read the whole series as a kid and had only ever reread the first 4 books as an adult on audio. Of course, when I was a kid, we didn't know what audiobooks were. I don't even know if we had audiobooks then, but back in my day. And I've never reread this since my childhood. So I figured since I had read the first 4 on audio, I would go ahead and pick up where I left off. That's why I went ahead and listened to this one and then that one. And I've got the other 3 checked out on audio, and I'll probably go ahead and listen to them this coming week as well. But I didn't yet. And then the 4th one I listened to on audio is really just kind of a play on words, but it does reference Little House. And, so the title is on purpose, but this is a Christian book about help for the hurried home. Actually, it's called Little House on the Freeway by Tim Kimmel. Help for the hurried home. And the audio version said it was abridged. So I'm going to hang on to this. I might read it sometime in print in its entirety, but it was narrated by the author, which tells me that he's good with the abridgment. He probably wrote the abridgment himself and didn't leave out anything crucial. So, it's all good. So that's what I read. So, share your thoughts in the comments, and you guys, Naomi, if you want to go next and tell what you read.
I committed to a big project and I did it. I read the first 6. So
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is
I found that these took me about an hour to read each one. And I think it's like the picture size and the nostalgia and the lack of big, small font and so much of the page was empty. And I'm a fast reader, so I was able to read 1 per hour essentially.
In print?
In print. I could not find an audiobook. All of them were on hold from my library. I was very annoyed. So I read these. And then I also read this audiobook, which I'm going to try.
Okay.
Well, I've seen those in the bookstore with the funny head.
Yeah. These are called the Who Was series. I've been loving them. I've read about Jane Austen. There's also about certain events in history. So it was neat to do a middle grade biography about Laura Ingalls Wilder. So a really short one, but 50 minutes in total. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I've seen those in the bookstores, but I've never been gravitated towards them because the artwork throws me off. They're
Totally.
silly or something. But
they're worth it. I did a Dr. Seuss one. That's how I got introduced to the stories, because I had to do Dr. Seuss at daycare and talk about him, and I had no knowledge. So I got one of those, and it was fantastic and a really short but easy biography to read about whatever content it is. So
where are you finding the audio?
Through my library.
On an app, or do they have?
My library has it digitally, so through the Libby app. But they also have some physical books at the library, which I prefer, or ebooks, because their pictures are really cool too. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. I've seen them. I used to volunteer in the elementary school library when my daughter was in elementary school, and I remember seeing them and reshelving them, but I never picked one up and read it. So I'm like Lindsay, the artwork, the covers are kind of off-putting a little bit. But anyway.
Yeah.
So
what I read. I also listened. Well, I think see it. The audiobook of Our Bright Lights, Prairie Dust by Karen Grassel, Reflections on Life, Loss, and Love from Little House's Ma. I am not finished with it yet. I'm 75% of the way through. So I have that. And again, mixed feelings. And then I read the first 4 books prior to the readathon, but then I completed By the Shores of Silver Lake and, of course, the group read The Long Winter, and I plan on finishing the series later on this week.
Nice.
And then I have A Wilder in the West by William Anderson, and this is about Almanza's sister Eliza Jane, which is in the book I'm reading right now, Little House in the Big Town. Little Town, whatever that book, the next book after Long Winter, and she's the teacher.
Little Town on the Prairie.
Yeah, that's annoying. And then I have by Cynthia Rylant, Old Town and the Green Groves, and this is about her time that's not mentioned in the Little House series about her in Burr Oak, Iowa.
I was actually thinking I might like to do that one next year for the group read, since it's one that maybe some people haven't picked up before. I've not read it. Have you read it, Naomi?
Nope.
Yeah,
I was thrown off by this girl with the red hair. I'm like, who? It was red hair.
Anne's in the wrong story.
Yeah,
I don't like
yeah,
these
exactly.
covers.
With the pigtails. I mean, yeah.
Some of these books have those covers, and I don't like them at all. So that's probably off-putting for me for why I've never.
Yeah. Some
Yeah.
Goodreads, all of them have these kind of, with the people.
I have one with a different cover. Let me show it. Let me get it. I'll show it to you.
And funny for this one on Goodreads, it's actually like the original artwork. I think this came out originally in like the 90s or something, or like early 2000s. And so, yeah, I like that cover a lot better than what I have.
Yeah.
And then I have Farmer Boy Goes West by Heather Williams. And this is also kind of like a fills in the blank of how Almanza got from Malone, New York to Minnesota and South Dakota.
Who wrote that one?
Heather Williams.
Okay, I need to add that to my Goodreads. I don't think I have that one. Farmer Boy Goes West. Yeah, I would like to read that too.
And then the last one I've like dipped in and out of is the Little House Cookbook by Barbara M. Walker. I've been meaning all week to make some recipes out of here, but I just haven't had the time. I'm hoping like maybe later this week to actually make something, but I like flip through it. And there's also illustrations and stuff. So yeah, it was neat to read and like see what they actually, how they actually prepare this food. Yeah.
Yeah. I read a different edition of that last year, and we had talked about that. It was the vinegar pie.
Yes.
Yeah. I haven't still. I don't think I've tried anything from it. So okay, so let's catch up with some comments. Let's see where we get to. So Megan says, won't be able to come on today, but thanks. You're welcome. Maybe next year. Cami says, I'm only on Instagram, so we need to follow you there. Groovy Pop Tart. What a fun name. Hello. Welcome. Let us know in the comments if you haven't already what you have read this week. So Angie says, I'm rereading Little House in the Big Woods, but haven't finished it. Very good. Awesome. That's the only one I could get my youngest daughter to read. She read that one, and I think she was fine with it, but she's, when she was reading more, now she's in college and everything, but when she had more reading time, she was more into dystopian, all that kind of thrillery kind of stuff. And
so not Little House.
And not Little House, yeah. I got her to watch one episode of Road to Avonlea, and she was like, they're always outside and they're always running. What's up with that? Like,
is she more of like a city girl?
Well, not really. I mean, we live in a pretty small town, but she's just funny. All right. So then Breezy says, I did get The Long Winter read. Awesome. I think I'll go ahead and read Little Town on the Prairie as well. Yay. Good deal. And Ashley says, I read The Long Winter and up to page 79 in Pioneer Girl. Awesome. So about 20% plus all the intro pages. Yeah.
That's an accomplishment.
Like
Good job.
A lot of intro pages.
Introductory stuff. So
and I feel like that book is totally cheating because on Goodreads, it's like 400 pages, I remember. And I was like, this book is 800 plus worth. I should be getting more page count for this. So good job.
What I did when I was reading it, and if I wanted to update my Goodreads to say like what percentage of the book, I added up all the pages plus the intro, and then I took a percentage of that, and then I added the intro plus what pages I was on and figured that percentage. So when I updated my Goodreads, because I took several months to read it, I did it by the accurate percentage because I did not want it showing if I said what page I was on, it wouldn't take into account all those introductory pages. And I was like, no, I want to get credit for all of those beginning pages too. So, Kimmy says, Angie, I love that one. Julia says, hi, I'm a longtime fan of Laura Ingalls Wilder. Grew up watching the TV show, reading the books. So excited to be here. Thank you for doing this. Well, you're welcome. We do this every year from the 7th through the 10th because February 7th was Laura Ingalls' birthday. And then she died on February 10th at the age of 90. And also, while I'm thinking about birthdays, happy birthday to Debbie Faust if she's out there watching. Debbie has the same birthday as Laura, so she always likes to participate to celebrate her birthday. And Angie says, I'm also reading it to my third graders. They're really enjoying it. That's awesome. I was going to ask you, Angie, when we were on the last Fair Acre live stream, what grade level that you taught, because I knew you were an elementary teacher, but I couldn't remember what grade. So third grade is such a good age for really getting into reading and listening. is Charlotte's Web still part of the curriculum for third grade? I remember back, I was in third grade in 1973, 72, 73, and that I have vivid memories of our teacher standing up and reading Charlotte's Web to us in the third grade. And I've heard throughout the years people still talk about reading that in third grade.
Yeah, I have a vivid memory of my teacher in third grade reading Where the Red Fern Grows.
Okay.
It's been like horrified by the ending, but it stuck with me. Like I vividly remember my teacher reading that.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's a tough one. Not as hard as like Old Yeller and stuff, but still, it's a tearjerker for sure. Little interesting fact. My sister and her husband live in Northeast Oklahoma, and the area where my brother-in-law grew up is around Snyder, which is like right in the Ozarks area, and his family's land was where they filmed that movie. So that was kind of cool. Yeah. All right. Julie says, I've read The Long Winter, These Happy Golden Years, and The First 4 Years. Awesome. So you read those just this week? That's great. I'm assuming it's not your first time reading them. So Groovy Pop Tart says, I've never read any of the books, but have Little House in the Big Woods on my TBR. Awesome. Well, I hope we don't spoil too much for you. Did you watch have you ever watched any of the TV show? Because it's quite a bit different. You know, it's loosely based on, but to get Laura's full story, of course, you want to read the books.
Yeah, the TV show is a lot more dramatic. Like,
yeah.
I haven't rewatched it as an adult, but I remember it being very.
I am going to
embellish a lot.
What?
They embellish a lot.
Oh yeah, for sure. Now that I may finish reading Melissa Gilbert's memoir, and because I've listened to Alison Arngram's and I'm reading Melissa Gilbert's, and now I've listened to Karen Grassley's, although her memoir was only maybe 15 to 20% about Little House, and there's a lot just about her life in general, but then Melissa Sue Anderson has one, and then the lady that played Miss Beadle, Charlotte Stewart, has one. Anyway, at some point I want to start rewatching, just kind of with new eyes, just to with the backstories in mind. I just kind of want to watch it again, and I've got at least the first couple of seasons on DVD here at the house, so I would like to do that.
Yeah, I was planning on watching the first, at least the pilot, because like the audiobook, Karen Grassel was talking about how they were filming it and everything, like for the pilot. So it really made me want to at least watch the first episode.
Yeah. And I don't know if I really, I'm sure I've seen the pilot, but
I don't remember it all. She was describing it. Have I seen that one? Like,
I know, and I wonder if it's in my set of if it's included with the DVD, if that very first episode is there. I'm not sure. So Angie, Cami says, you're such a great teacher. And Cami says, all those books look interesting. Thank you. And Danielle, the Bluegrass Reader, says, hi, everyone. I'm re-listening to the series, currently listening to Farmer Boy. I think it's one of my favorites. I wish we could have had more stories about Alice. She needs a spinoff series. So I'm trying to think who Alice is. Is that a character from Farmer Boy? One of y'all?
Yeah, that's
Almanzo's sister.
Yeah. It's a sister.
And I really loved that one on the reread too. I was surprised at how much more I liked it than the first two that I read.
Okay.
So I really liked that one as well. Farmer Boy's great. And his family definitely has a lot of adventures that need to be delved into.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe there's some of that like talked about in the Farmer Boy Goes West is more about like his travels probably. But have you started that one yet, Lindsay? Did you read it?
Yeah. I read that one. Yeah. All the books I mentioned, I've read.
Tell us a little bit about that one.
Yeah. And this one, it does feature Alice as well. Cause like he seems to be really close to her. And he mentions like with the teacher,
Eliza
Jane. Yeah, I talked in here too, like how annoyed he is, how she's so bossy, and but yeah, this one it doesn't just talk about the travel. It talks about them setting up their farm in Spring Valley, Minnesota. So it talks about how some of their family had already settled there, and so like it could kind of intrigue them on going west. And he really wanted to go. Alonzo really wanted to go, and so while Eliza Jane and Royal, the older siblings, stayed in Malone, all the rest of the family, including Alice, were here. And so Alice and him go to the new school, and so it actually features them two quite a bit. So if you like Allison, Yeah, I think this one would be a good one to
So
continue
I
on her
didn't
story.
I didn't realize that. I was thinking I wondered if maybe their parents had stayed back in Malone in New York, but they all did go west, at least as far
Yes,
as
yes.
Valley.
Yeah, I think it was. I can't remember if it was the mom or the dad who has family there, and so
Okay.
like it's kind of like with Desmint how they set up a whole new town and get really involved. I really like the mom because she sounds so like someone who really likes having people around, and so it's like she's kind of like a community center, center of the town in a way.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to read that. I have never had that book in my hand. I don't even know if my library has it. I need to find that. So Julie says, never read the Burr Oak one. Yeah, me either. I've had it here on my shelves, but I have not read it. So are you guys up for making that the group read next year? Do both of y'all have this one?
I don't have it, but I'll get my hands on it.
All right,
Sounds
try to
good.
get it. You got a year, all of y'all. This is your assignment. You've got a year to get this book because I'm going to venture to guess that it is one that a lot of people have not read yet. So why not, branch out and read something new that's also related. And Cami says, "Oh yes, Danielle, that would make a great spinoff. Yeah, to do Alice, that would be awesome." Faithfully Moonstar or Ashley says one of my girls who's 12 was super excited. Here, wait, hang on. Super excited to join and read on the banks of Plum Creek too. Awesome. Plum Creek is probably my favorite, if not one of my favorites, because I've always been fascinated with the dugout. And I got to visit there. My husband and I went to Walnut Grove and we drove out to see the site of the dugout and everything. And it was just like, I walked across that little bridge, and even though the dugout's not there, there's just a little sign there, that says, and I was just like, this is so cool. I just was like, Laura was here. This is amazing. And I just wanted to cry. It was so cool. So yeah, love
Yeah, that one stuck with me too. I remember as a kid, like I think that was the first one I read, and I just vividly remember, like I think it was the cow or the horse that got their like hoof through the roof.
Yep,
And I
yep.
remember that ever since I think I read the book in like fourth grade, and it's always stuck with me.
Yeah, it's just incredible to think about actually living in the ground like that. It's crazy. So all right, so I had skipped. Oh, okay. No, Cami was just laughing. So okay. Cami said, I read the group read plus still reading Pioneer Girl. Cami, it took me like 9 or 10 months last year to read Pioneer Girl. So don't feel bad. You'd have to be super. Well, you might. Steve Donahue could maybe read Pioneer Girl in 4 days. He could read it probably in 1 day, but he's like a superhuman reader. So
I think when I read it, I had read part of it before, and then during last year, I like made it my weekend goal. And like
nice.
I committed to it, and that was all I did all weekend was read that book, and it was so big and heavy, but I did it. But it took a commitment.
So how long did it take you to read it from start to finish?
I put it down in between, but when I started, I think I was about page 100. So that's like page 150 or whatever that is.
Yeah.
So I think I had 300 pages left, and I was determined to read it
during the readathon.
So yeah, I finished that. It had been a birthday present, so I felt guilty too for not reading it in like the 7 years I had owned it.
Yes. That's phenomenal to read that fast. Yeah, mine had been a Christmas present like the year it first came out, and I finally just read it last year. So
yeah, I read it twice. I read it when it first came out, when I bought it, and then I read it a year or two ago, and I can't remember how long it took me. I think maybe a week or so.
You guys
there's a lot of
readers.
There's a lot of like pictures with notes on the side. I mean, it's covered.
It's like a commitment. You can't just read that and other stuff. You have to read that to get it done that way.
Well, I did though. I read when I saw that it was just going to take me a long time, and I'm kind of an ADD reader anyway. I really am. So I read anywhere from 2 pages to 7 pages a day. And I just kept chinking away at it. I thought as long as I am reading something, every day, then I'll eventually get it done. And there were a few days I missed. Well, I think I put it down during March Mystery Madness and stuff like that. But I picked it back up after what I always consider my readathon season, which starts now, with Little House Readathon, and then March Mystery Madness, then Amish in April, and then middle grade May. And then in June, I can, relax a little and just read whatever. So, that's when I really started going after it more hardcore. But even still, I only read a few pages a day. As much as I was loving it, I just just have, I can only sit with the same book for so long, and then I have to put it down and pick up a different book. That's just my reading style.
And that press, they actually, I'm seeing, I can't remember the title. Pioneer Girl something. It's a pink book that publisher also made, and I haven't read it yet because I got it. And it was like, it talked about how it's like different manuscripts, because the Pioneer Girl, it mentions how there's a couple like different manuscripts that it went through, of course, like during the editing process. So I got it, and not realizing as you're opening up each page is like it's 3 columns, and each column is a different like line by line of what's different.
Wow.
And I'm like, how can I read this? Like, do I just read each, like the first column through the whole book and then go back and read the second one? I'm like, I don't know how to read it, but yeah.
That'd be interesting.
That is cool. So it's like photocopied from
No, it's
side.
I can't grab it right now, but it's like the same like font and everything of Pioneer Girl. But they just made like little like newspaper columns.
Oh wow.
So they can show how they changed it to the final edition.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I would love to see what that looks like.
And it's hefty. It's even bigger, of course, than Pioneer Girl.
That would be huge.
Yeah, it's probably like double the size.
Where did you find it?
But I was looking to see what else that publisher, like it's like things like, was it South Dakota Society something? I just want to see what else they had. And there's 3 that I know of: Pioneer Girl, and then I think Pioneer Girl Perspective. That's a lot slimmer, and it's kind of like the Remember Me, Laura, where it's all about like different like essays, including people who knew her. So that was a lot easier to read. It's kind of like a short story collection. And then this third one, which is like the manuscript edition one.
Oh wow. Very cool. Very cool. All right. Let's see where we got to. So Breezy Ann says, we did Charlotte's Web in my first grade class. Wow. See, I think, I don't know. I have mostly heard about it in 3rd grade, because I think at that point it's like ushering you into reading a book of that size. So they're reading it to you so that you can get intrigued, because the 1st grade is still pretty young to, you might look at that and go, oh, I'm not reading that. That's too thick. But by 3rd grade, you're starting to think, oh, maybe I could venture out into thicker books. It was 3rd grade for me when my teacher there was the window, and then on one side of the window was all of her storybooks, and on the other side of the window, I never paid attention, but she had thicker books. And my mom was a school teacher at the high school, which was at the other end of the building. I'm from a small place. And so she walked down to pick me up at the end of school. And I remember my teacher saying to my mom, she's read everything on that side of the room. I think she's ready to move over to this side of the room. And I looked, and she had Happy Hollister books, which were just these kind of what looked to me like pretty thick red books. They didn't have dust jackets on them or anything. They're just these solid red books. And she had just this whole shelf of them. And I was like, really? But I ended up reading some of them, and they were really good. And now I collect them as an adult. So, all right. Megan says, I read Pioneer Girl a couple years ago, found it fascinating. Yeah, me too. I loved reading the true stories and what was left out behind the books. Yes, very much so. That's the really good thing about it. You get the whole picture. And that's what made me want to read The Long Winter again, after reading all of that, the backstories about the real life of living through that. I wanted to read that perspective again.
Yeah, it feels prettier.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I'm going to Mansfield this May. I'm so excited to visit Laura's home place. Oh, that's great. I've been twice. I love it. Have you ever been at all, Julie? It is really neat. It is just this little small town, but you can see her gravesite, and you can go through the house, and go through both houses. There's the Rock House, and then something, I think you park across the street. They have parking across the road, and then there's like there's a museum and the house and a little shop and all that stuff. So it's definitely worth going to for sure. Angie says, Charlotte's Web used to be on the 3rd grade curriculum at my former school district, but then it was removed. Oh, they should put it back. That's a classic. And Julie says, these are rereads for me too. I kind of figured, but just thought I'd ask, because not everybody in the world has read them, even though they should. They haven't. Cami says to Megan that that is some of what I'm enjoying also. Awesome. Julie says, I enjoyed Melissa Sue Anderson's book. It was really good too. I have not gotten to hers. I wonder, I was going to look to see if it was on audio. I found the, my phone's in there plugged in. I found the Karen Grassley book on Scribd, but my library doesn't have a physical copy, or I would have checked it out. And I don't know if they have Melissa Sue Anderson's book or not. But if you've read Alison Arngram's book, she talks about how her and Melissa Gilbert were great friends, but her and Melissa Sue Anderson just never really clicked. Like, she just said that Melissa Sue was, I think they called her Missy. She was just kind of, I don't know, introverted and just didn't really like open up, and they just didn't have she didn't dislike her. It sounds like she tried to, get along with her, but they just didn't have a rapport, I guess.
Yeah, I read that book too, and I remember her describing Melissa Sue like that. And to me, it almost sounded like she made her sound like kind of like robotic or something, like kind of like just have a screen over, and she wasn't like very like didn't have much emotions. It sounded like
and maybe she was just trying to keep it all in until she had to act. She was trying to just like stay centered. In Karen Grassley's book, she was talking about how she, as an actor, needed to just stay focused and centered and be ready to do her part. Whereas like Michael Landon, he could be joking around and then all of a sudden just turn it on and go right into his role. He could just switch, and it's just different acting styles. So I don't know, maybe Melissa Sue Anderson was like that. But have either of y'all read her book?
I haven't. I want to, like, after I want to hear her actual words.
I want to hear what she thought of Alison Arngram now that we know what Alison Arngram thought of her. So that should be interesting. So Julie, what does she say? Does she say anything about Alison Arngram in her book? Since you said you have just read it, tell us about it. And Breezy Ann says, I remember Farmer Boy being my favorite when I was a kid. See, it was my least favorite because it didn't have Laura in it. But as an adult, I like it much more than I used to. I can really appreciate it for what it is now. I've listened to it a couple times. But as a kid, I remember thinking, well, this has nothing to do with Laura. Why do I need to read this? I want to get back to Laura. Angie says, Julie, I visited Mansfield a few years ago. It was great. I also visited Hannibal, Missouri. Awesome. Mark Twain's childhood home on that same trip, a very literary road trip. Yeah, for sure. I've never been to Hannibal. That would be fun to do.
Yeah, I did a road trip this last September. I went through I'm in Oregon, so I did the northern pathway all the way to Wisconsin. So I stopped at DeSmet and Pepin. But I haven't done the Mansfield trip yet. But yeah, I also included, I stopped at Mankato for the Betsy Tacy series. Yeah. Because there's two houses, the Betsy and the Tacy house, and they face each other.
Oh, fun. So is it a real, I've only read the first one of that, but
there's the two houses. I didn't do the tour inside because they have very limited hours.
Okay.
But yeah, I saw the outside, and they have little plaques that describe the area and pictures of what it used to look like, and it was really cute. How fun. And it had a lot of Victorian houses in that area.
I've never been to Pepin. I have been to would you say Mankato and DeSmet and Walnut Grove and all of that, but we didn't get to go to Pepin. So I still need to do that and go to Burr Oak because there is a museum there too.
And after I read this one, they talk about Spring Valley. I Googled and looked around, and there is actually several, there's a museum, I think, or a church or something that talks about his family there. Because I think his mom and dad at least lived there for quite a while.
Okay. Well, and Malone too. And I haven't ever been there. There's a museum in Malone, New York. And Dean, what's his last name, that played El Manzo on the Little House on the Prairie show, he's done a lot to help preserve that. He's done appearances there and stuff to help that group with fundraisers and things. There's a whole video about it. If you look on YouTube, it talks about just the whole struggle to get the funds to keep that, to preserve it. So that was really cool. So Julie says, I can't wait to read Farmer Boy. That's the only one I haven't read. Yes, you should read it. It's good. Megan says, glad you're enjoying it, Kimmy. I really like Allison Argham's memoir. Awesome. Yes, I did too. It was tough to read in places, but Danielle says, I need to read Farmer Boy Goes West. Thank you, Lindsay, for mentioning it. Yes, thank you, Lindsay, because I had forgotten all about it. I went and checked my Goodreads, and I did have it on my want to read, but it had totally escaped my brain. Had not thought about it. Julie says to Angie, that sounds cool. I'm excited to go or going for my birthday, the big 50. Awesome. I started my booktube channel the year I was 50. It was a big year. That dugout was so memorable. I always loved that cover so much. And the leeches.
Yeah.
The leeches were memorable, not lovable.
Yeah, I wish I squeezed in like that because Walnut Grove was kind of on the way, but it was a little bit outside of like the path I was going. I was like, I wish I'd make the 2 hours or so detour to go, but I didn't. But I'll have to make my way back sometime.
Oh yeah. Hello, Jamie. Yeah. It's nice to see you. She says hello to everyone. I read These Happy Golden Years and Bright Lights Prairie Dust. Awesome. Yes. I am gonna try to get to These Happy Golden Years. I think that's after Little Town on the Prairie, right? I think that's the next. I got to read Little Town on the Prairie again to finish my reread. Angie says that'll be so much fun. My one regret was not rereading the series before my trip because there were so many objects in the museum I couldn't recall from the books. Same, Angie, same, because I had not still reread all of them since my childhood. So even though I've been to Mansfield twice, there were so many things that I saw that I was like, oh, yeah, I think I'm supposed to know what that is, you know? So yeah, for sure. Thank you for the recommendation of Allison Argham's memoir. Yes. And it's Cammie, it's tough in places. I mean, she had some bad stuff that happened to her prior
her
to
brother
that.
Was
yeah. So just know there's some bad stuff in there, but she did an excellent job, I thought, and you know, she narrated the audiobook and everything, so it was good. All right. Problem. My teacher, Miss Salyer, read Charlotte's Web in the 4th grade, and I loved it. Awesome. My cousin and I are planning a trip also. We need to all meet there. Fun. That's what I'm trying to do now is read through them all again. Yes. I'm just getting into reading now in my 50s, so I have a lot to catch up on. That's cool, Groovy. Well, Groovy, do you want us to call you Groovy, or do you have another name you would like to be called? If you want to be incognito, we'll just call you Groovy. And that would be awesome. Welcome. Yes, welcome to the reading community. It's fun here. We need to make literary group trips a thing. That would be fun. We should do that, Angie. Thank you. Totally agree. I have a couple planned this year, the ones close to us. So what is close to you, Cammie? What literary trips are you going to be making? Dean Butler was the actor who played Almanzo. In the series, they called him Almanzo, even though in real life he was Almanzo. And that is spelled out in a book, not a book, in a video where that's talked about how, and I think it's in that same video where Dean is talking about the stuff he did to kind of help with the Malone, New York thing. He was saying that it was an error when he was first introduced. The actress playing Eliza Jane said Almanzo, and so rather than correct her, they just kept it Almanzo throughout the whole series. And I thought, oh no, that would not have gone for that. Too much of a purist, but anyway. All right. In Melissa Sue Anderson's book, she didn't really say anything bad about any cast member. From what I remember, she just said she wasn't close with Melissa or Allison. And yeah, that's kind of what Allison said too. That she wasn't saying anything bad about her. She just said that she wasn't close. So it's good. Melissa Sue talked really highly of Michael Landon and Karen Grassley. Okay. And Jamie says, hi, Angie, you look like you're in your 20s. The big 50. Happy early birthday. Wait, Angie's not the one turning 50, is it? I don't think it was Angie. Somebody else says that she's in her 50s. I'm in my 50s. I'm almost 60. But Julie said, it was Julie that said she was talking to Angie and saying she's going to go for her birthday, which is the big 50. So, yeah. Okay. All right. So we're caught up on the comments. All right. Are y'all ready to do some trivia? So we have this little house trivia book. And last year we did the questions for Little House on the Prairie. And I was just thinking we would go ahead this year and do the questions for, not Little House on the Prairie. We did Little House in the Big Woods last year. And we could still do that. But depending on, it is already, goodness, because we got started late, it's already 10 till. So I think it was Lindsay. She's like, well, if we're going to read The Long Winter as a group read, then that's really the questions we should do. So we're going to skip on over to the Long Winter questions.
And I feel better prepared this time because I remember last time the questions were tough. They weren't like simple. Like
it was like I've read this book in
questions. It was like
4 years.
So now I feel prepared going into.
All right. So here's how we're going to play this. Before either Lindsay or Naomi guess out loud, we're going to give you guys in the comments time to answer and give your guess. I can't find, I don't know, there's a table of contents to see what page. I think there's like 12 or 13 questions. So we will do all.
I feel like I should know the stuff since I literally just read the book, but
right.
I don't think
I
I will.
I'm just gonna freeze, and I'm not gonna.
Okay, here we go. All right, and yeah, and I just listened to it, but I'm looking at the first question, going, I don't remember.
That does not instill confidence. That does not instill confidence.
Okay, so is everybody ready? There's no prizes, just bragging rights. Although, speaking of prizes, I happen to think, even though this is really not a Little House book, I do have an extra copy of this somewhere, but I don't know where it is. So I'm not going to do a giveaway of that right now. But if I run across my extra copy, then by next year, maybe I'll give that away. Or if I find an extra copy of something. Speaking of extra copies, between us three, we started our little Google Doc so that we can figure out what books to help each other out with the Martha, Charlotte, and Caroline years. So I need to revisit that. I just found a couple more, and I've still been working trying to collect them for you guys. So we'll try to get that done within the next couple of months. Okay, so here we go. Is everybody ready? In the comments, hang on, did somebody else make a comment? Maya Angelou from Stamps. Oh, okay, yeah. So where I asked her where she was going to go. Maya, is it Angelo or Angelou? I want to say Angelou from Stamps, Arizona. No, AZ is Arizona. AR, is that Arkansas?
Arkansas, yeah.
Is it Arkansas? Okay. Of course, Laura's Museum in Mansfield. Yes. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense because that's not far from Arkansas. And one of the writing homes of Ernest Hemingway. Awesome. The only Hemingway house I've been to is in the Keys in Key West. But I think he did. This is one of the writing homes. That sounds right. Like he probably had several. Okay, here we go. Question 1. And let me look ahead and see how many there are so we kind of know what we're doing here. There are 18 questions, so we better get a move on. Okay.
Nice.
What does Laura help Pa make at the beginning of the book? So those of you in the comments, go ahead and feel free to ring in. And then I will read you the quote from the book that answers the question. What does Laura help Pa make at the beginning of the book? And this is from The Long Winter.
I don't know why I popped my head is thinking like the bed frames, but I don't know. Oh,
hang on.
Because I read all the books too, so it's all blurring in my head. Because she helped with several things.
All right, before you look at everybody's comments, y'all can go ahead and guess now.
I was gonna say making a hay pile.
Oh, yeah, she was stamping on it. Yeah.
Yeah, because then she was calling down about this needs to be done or whatever.
Is that what you think?
There wasn't
Lindsay?
anything inside the house.
Yeah, I thought about the hay too, but it's like, is it making something? I don't. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. And everybody got it right. It is hay. Yes, everybody got it right.
Okay.
The quote says, "Pa," Laura said, why can't I help you make hay? Please let me help Pa, please." So, all right. Number 2. What is the muskrat house made of?
Mud.
Muskrat house. Wait, but don't answer out loud yet until to give people time to answer in. What is the muskrat house made of? Anybody? I'm hearing crickets out there. Nobody's guessing.
This is a hard one.
If y'all feel like you're on a delay, you can always, what I sometimes have to do is I have to just turn it completely off and then open it back up again. Because sometimes if you click pause or something, or for whatever reason, you can get delayed on a live stream. And I don't know any other way to get caught back up. Okay. Close. Oh, actually, yeah, Ashley has it. Ashley has it right, but y'all go ahead before you look at her comment and make your guess.
I think it was like mud, like the slow grass, but mainly mud is what it was sticking in my head.
It was like debris almost and mud, I thought.
Yeah, it's mud, grass and mud. It says the muskrats had gnawed dry grass to bits and mixed the bits well with mud to make a good plaster for their house. So, all right, next question. Y'all ready? What does Pa ask Laura to buy in town for him? Wait, what does Pa ask Laura to buy in town for him?
I remember this one, but I can't remember.
Yeah. What does Pa ask Laura? So Laura's going, I guess they're all in town, and he asked Laura to go buy something for him. I don't remember that either.
I know how they're describing it, but I don't know what the thing is called.
I remember Pa's gift, and I remember.
Yeah. I remember that some later.
What'd they buy for Pa?
All right, you can go ahead and say out loud if you know a few people.
It was like a farming equipment thing. It had like a spike on it. It was like part of like the for him to like till or something. It was like I don't know the name of it. It was a part for the farming equipment that like helped with the spike thing.
I have no.
They described it, but yeah, like fit
it
in, it's slotted into there. Yeah.
Yeah. No. You said it, and Ashley said a section for the mower, and that's what it is. A mowing in the book. It says a mowing machine section. Laura said, I guess she went up to the store clerk. Pa wants a mowing machine section, please. The man on the plow said, he's broke one, has he? And Laura said, yes, sir. So wait, if he was on the plow, so she wasn't at the store. I don't know where she was when she asked this. I don't remember that part at all. But anyway, Laura said, Pa wants a mowing machine section, please. The man on the plow said, he's broke one, has he? Laura said, yes, sir. So anyway, Ashley, you were correct. Or not Ashley, Danielle. Danielle is correct. Ashley said tooth section. So that's, are you meaning like from the machine? Julie says cutter bar and machine part. So yeah, y'all are on the right track. All right. Who do Laura and Carrie meet on their way back from town? Oh yeah, I remember this part. Who do Laura and Carrie meet on their way back from town? All right, those of you in the chat, answer first.
This moment stuck out to me in the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to go reheat my coffee. Hang on, y'all. Did y'all see my cup? A little cup. My weekend is booked.
Very nice.
I will be right back.
I think it's the Wilder boys, because I remember that be the first time that Laura meets Almanzo on the page.
Yeah, and that stuck out to me too. And then also like how I think it's at the time when Carrie and Laura get lost in the grass, they decide to like do a detour and not stay on the path. And, yeah.
Yes, and Almanzo's on the top of the hay pile, just chilling, basically.
Yeah, I think there's an illustration for that one. Yeah, he's like all stressed out. Yeah.
Yeah, it was so good to see that. And I was like, oh, the first time.
Yeah.
The meet cute, essentially.
Yeah, because they're mentioned the first time, like I think the book before, and like they just see him like driving by on like their carriage, and she's all like, Laura's like likes their horses, and then so this is like the first time they actually get to say some words, have a conversation.
So did y'all get it right? I see someone in the comments got it. Oh yeah. Well, and yeah, that picture's in here too in the the book, the trivia book. It says Almanzo and Royal Wilder. So the quote says, Laura looked up and saw him pointing. His blue eyes twinkled down at her as if he had known her a long time. And you think about she's sitting here writing this, when she's in her 60s or maybe, I don't know, by the time she wrote Long Winter, she might have already been 70. And she's reflecting back and thinking about, meeting him as a young person and those early memories. Have you all ever thought about that? Like, I mean, my husband and I have only been married we're going on 24 years now, I think. And we dated for 5 years. But I was thinking back, and I know I met him at work, and I was like, when was the first time I actually saw him? Like, what was the first conversation that we had? I was trying to remember. And I think the first time I actually saw him, this is kind of crazy, but and this has nothing to do with Little House. I'll try to make it fast. Long time ago, Disney brought a bunch of Macy's balloons and displayed them at Disney Hollywood Studios. And so Randy is a tech and I was a performer. And they asked a bunch of the character people to come down and help hold the balloons while they blew them up. And I remember, and Randy was way up on top of one of the buildings, like helping to secure some of the tie-offs. And I remember looking up there and I said to one of my friends, I was like, have you ever seen him before? He's really cute. It was like way up on top of the building. And so funny. So anyway, of course, he didn't notice me at all, All right.
Yeah, I always find it charming too, like their relationship, especially knowing like when she wrote with them, how old she was, and, like they've been together that long, and like they like their relationship, like through the golden years is always. One of my favorite books to read.
I have a hard time with the age range. He was 10 years older than her, and yet that didn't seem to matter. But when you think about it, 10 years is a pretty good gap. Like my sister's 10 years older than me, and she had a whole different growing up experience in the 60s than I had in the 70s. And it's hard to think about just being able to, I don't know, to have any common ground. I don't know. But I mean, they did, obviously, because life was different then. They didn't have a lot of the same, all the pop culture kind of stuff that we have today that makes each decade, a little more different. But I don't know. It's interesting to think about how far apart in age they were. I was listening to a book the other day where the author said that her husband was like 17 years older than her.
Oh my goodness.
And I was like, wow, that is dramatic. So, all right. Oh, hang on. I need to take this off.
Well, age gaps happen in my family. All my siblings are married to someone way older than them.
Yeah.
Like in those terms, like my brother's married to a lady, my sister-in-law who's 5 years older than him. And my sister, one of them is married to a guy who's 8 years older than her. Another one is married to a guy who's 6 years older than her.
Yeah.
It's just a thing in our family. So apparently I should be looking for someone in their 40s because I'm 30. So I should be looking for someone older.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not judging. It's whatever anybody wants to do, but it's hard to wrap your mind around it because you think you're coming at life from two different perspectives. So anyway, it looks like people got that one correct. The Wilder Boys, and Cami says, love the cup. Thank you. All right. So the next question is, what kind of pie does Ma bake as a surprise for Pa? This one I do remember. What kind of pie does Ma bake as a surprise for Pa?
I should have brought some water over so my throat wouldn't dry up too much.
Yours was coughing, yeah. Oh.
Did not plan that well.
Anybody? All right. So y'all go ahead and say. Several people have chimed in. What do y'all think?
It's the green pumpkin pie.
Yeah.
There's like the slices of the pumpkin.
Yeah. I thought it was apple, but it was
yeah. I thought apple at first. I was like, wait, that's exactly what it was. But I remember.
Well, and he thought it was apple. He was like, Caroline, where'd you get apples? So Megan said they think Almanzo was actually 2 years younger than many of the records. This was so that he could get a claim when he was legally 2 years too young. So he maybe lied and said he was 2 years older so he could get a claim, and
Yep.
so that's why. So they
Yeah,
don't.
I think he's supposed to be like 21, but
So
I think he
then,
was
did he
19
have
at
to
the
just
time.
maintain that the rest of his life? He had to always be 2 years older,
Well, it's all in the government documentation, right?
probably.
So
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
remember thinking that there was something in one of the books that was saying something about his age, and I thought, well, wait a minute, because it said something about him being like 19 or 20, and I thought, well, that would mean Laura was only 10. I thought she was older by this point. So anyway, but yeah, who knows? Who knows
Yeah, I'm
what?
looking up on Wikipedia now. He was born
Go
in
ahead.
1857, and Laura was born in 67. So they are exactly 10
Well,
years.
yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what the records show, that he was
Yeah.
10 years older. But if what Megan is saying is true, perhaps he really was only 8 years older. But in order to get his claim, he said he was 2 years older. In order to be able to legally have a claim, because I would think you would need to be an adult age
Yeah.
to
You have to
sign
be
up.
21.
Yeah, I remember the 21, and he was 19. Yeah.
And it was not hard to like lie about that because no one could fact check you.
Right.
Like no one
Right.
could go back into government data and figure out what
Yeah.
your actual birthday was.
Yeah. So once he did that, he just had to stick with that story the rest of his life, I'm guessing. If that's the case. Whether that's true or not, who knows? But it's interesting to ponder. So everyone got it right. Green pumpkin. Oh, Angie said raisin. I think it was green pumpkin, but let me see.
It's green pumpkin.
Pretty sure. Yeah. So the quote says, "Hurry and get the work done," said Ma. And then, "Laura, you go to the corn patch and bring me a green pumpkin. I'm going to make a pie." All right. So next question. What is it cambric or cambric? I'm not sure how to say it. CAMBRIC tea. What is cambric tea? And I never really knew. But
yeah, I didn't know either, but it's mentioned in this book.
Yeah.
In the cookbook, they talk about that.
Just like Angie says, it's been years since I read The Long Winter. Not sure why I'm answering. It's fine, Angie. Just throw some guesses out there. You never know. And we won't make fun of you. She says, I know, right? In The Long Winter, which we know isn't exactly accurate, Laura's 14, and Almanzo says he's probably only about a month older than Cap, who was also still in school. Yeah, that's where, because I remember hearing that going, wait a minute, the age discrepancy there. But we have to remember that, like Ashley said, it's not exactly accurate to, there was a lot of fictionalization going on. So, All right. Did y'all guess yet? What is cambric tea?
It's just a couple spoonfuls of tea with like the water or milk. Yeah.
And yeah. So
watered down tea, essentially.
Yeah, very, very watered down. Yeah.
Weak tea and milk. Cambric tea was hot water and milk with only a taste of tea in it. The girls felt grown up when their mothers let them drink cambric tea. Yes, so milk with just a little tea in it. Yes. All right. In what month does the first blizzard come? I think I know this one. Yeah, I was right. In what month does the first blizzard come? All right, y'all. The comments. Make a couple of guesses. The next one, I don't know. All right. What do y'all think?
It was October?
Yeah.
Yep, October. It says, the quote says, "A blizzard," Ma chattered, "in October. I never heard of." And it goes on. So, yeah, man, that's crazy. All right. I did not know this one. I don't remember hearing about it. I think I vaguely remember this discussion, but I didn't catch the name. What does Laura call the bird that Pa finds after the first blizzard?
Oh.
And I don't know.
I feel like I actually remember this.
Yeah, I think I do too, but I don't know how to pronounce it exactly. It's like, oh wait, I'll wait to answer.
All right, anybody make a guess, and then we'll let Naomi say it.
I'll probably be wrong.
I feel like I could give you the spelling, but
I think we're thinking of different names. So
okay.
one of us might be right, one of us might be wrong.
All right. What do you think, Naomi?
I thought it was Freddie.
No,
And
it's
I thought it was Auk, AUK or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah. It's AUK.
Okay, yeah.
He says it's a great auk. Laura declared. Only it's a little one. So did she mean hawk? And
I
she
don't
called
know.
it
I
auk.
thought it was like the what they thought the species was. Like
Okay,
I
and
thought
that's
they
what
didn't
I
give it a
don't
name.
know. I don't know. Angie says, I remember researching the bird and being surprised it's found in North America. So is there a bird called an auk that's
There would
not
be
the
then
same
if
as a
Angie
hawk?
looked it up.
I guess so. Very cool. Okay. Yeah, only a little one, an auk. All right. What is the name of the street that Pa's store building is on? I already forgot the name of the street, but I went to the building and I saw and have a picture of the plaque that's on the building right now.
Yeah, I did the tour too with all the plaques. Yeah.
Yeah. What is the name of the street that Pa's store building is on? Oh, it's not hard.
I can only think of one possibility that I can remember.
Oh, Angie says, I'm sorry. Wait, that's not what I meant to do. It looks like a penguin, maybe.
Yeah, they
An auk.
described it. Yeah.
Interesting. All right. What do you think? What street?
Main Street.
You are correct. It is Maine.
At first, I thought it was a trick question. I'm like, I think
I know.
Maine, but maybe I'm thinking like maybe first, second, or third. But yeah.
I heard
So-
something like the name Main Street, like just that kind of street name, is the most common name in all of North America.
Yeah.
Because
That makes
every
sense.
town has a main street.
It's
Yeah.
the Main Street.
And that's the first street that you build on.
There is the largest city in my county has a bunch of streets named after states. And so they have one that's Maine, Mane. And I'm like, why would you do that? Because, you can spell it and it's different, but maybe one's like Main Street and one's Main Avenue. I don't know. And maybe that's how they make the distinction. But I thought that should have.
Yeah. Like make it right on Maine. And they're like, which one?
Which Maine? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, but it is Main Street. It says Pa's store building was one of the best in town. It stood by itself on the east side of Main Street. All right. What building does Laura bump into during the second blizzard? I remember that scene.
Can you repeat the question?
Oh, sure. What building does Laura bump into during the second blizzard? Like when they're coming out of school, the blizzard hits and they're in school and she sees Cap going and
Going
then
one way. Yeah.
stays with the group. That whole scene was mind blowing because, she makes that whole thing about what if she hadn't bumped into the building, they would have just kept on going. There was nothing after that. And they would have just kept on going and probably frozen to death. It was just like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And like reading nonfiction books and how it happened, it just happened like every winter. It seems like all over like the prairie area. And yeah.
Nobody in the comments has it right so far.
I remember the scene, but I can't remember
Can
the
still
building.
steal it for the win.
I think it's the general store.
I was thinking like the Taylor, but I don't know.
It is Mead's Hotel. They followed along the side of that building till they came to the front of it, and it was Mead's Hotel at the very north end of Main Street. So it was the last...
Breezy Ann gets it.
Did she get it?
Yeah, the hotel.
Oh, she did say the hotel. Oh, okay. Yeah, you sure did. The store, I forgot when it was the hotel. What does that mean? Foster said it was all God. Just a minute. I know. And the fact that Cap, she was worried about him, but he actually knew where he was going. And I guess, he didn't want to take time to argue with them because they probably couldn't hear him anyway.
Mm-hmm.
He just thought, okay, I know this is the way to go. I'm just going to go and I'm going to get help because they're obviously going to go the way they're going to go. And being that he was still a young person and there were adults in the lead, that was in a day and age where the kids, even if he had tried to tell them otherwise, they would have probably said, no, you're a kid. You don't know, children are better seen and not heard, that kind of thing.
Yeah, not arguing back. Yeah.
Yeah. So rather than argue back and try to tell them that he knew better, he just figured he would go to where he knew he could get help and, let it go at that. So All right. What gift does Mr. Edwards leave for Mary? I thought this was really sweet.
Yeah.
What gift? Do y'all remember what gift Mr. Edwards left for Mary? One person has answered. While we're waiting, it said Breezy Ann said, I just remember one kid stayed there because his parents had money. Was that, are you talking about one kid stayed at the,
Yeah, like somehow he didn't have to go far because he was like just across the street or something.
Oh,
like
okay.
He lived in town, at the hotel.
Yeah. But it was Kep Garland that I think went and found the right way. So a book, the children's blizzard talks about the blizzards on the plains and kids getting stuck in schools or being released to try and get home. Reminded me a lot of this book. I've heard of the children's blizzard.
I thought of this too.
I'd like to read that sometime. All right. So what do you guys, what's your guess of what Mr. Edwards left for Mary?
The money.
Yeah, it was money. I don't know if I need to get a specific amount.
$20 bill.
It was a $20 bill. Laura cried, Mary, a $20. You dropped a $20 bill. I couldn't, Mary exclaimed. That Edwards, said Pa. So he had left it for Mary. And of course, her first thought was trying to give it back to him. But they were like, well, no, he's gone. So he wanted you to have it for school. So you keep it for school. And that, I'm sure that's what he had in mind, was that. All right. What is the name of the magazine Laura and Carrie get in the mail? I didn't remember this. I remember them getting some mail, but I
remember them getting the magazine, but I can't remember the magazine name.
I have no clue what that magazine is called at all.
And they're like sparingly, we probably got me with like they're sparingly like slowly reading out these stories because it's not like they have like, we have full libraries, full of books and access to, public libraries, but like just crazy how they had so limited literature at hand. Yeah.
And I was thinking, like, what is their standard for burning stuff in the winter when like they have nothing left? Are they going to burn those stories because it's fuel? But also that's a way to keep them entertained and give them hope for outside of the blizzard. Like, which one is going to be more important?
So, all right. So the answer is, someone said the companion. The actual answer is Youth's Companions. It says Ma reached eagerly for the church papers, and Laura and Carrie both tried to take the bundle of Youth Companions. So I just now went over to eBay and typed in Youth Companions. If you want to see what that looks like, you can. There is a lot that comes up for $24.99, which is not that expensive. 1900s Youth Companions back issue magazines from 1900, 1921, and 20 issues, or 20 issues from 1900 to 1921. So you can see what that looks like. That is kind of a newspaper magazine, but very interesting. It might be fun to buy one just to read it. How fun would that be?
Yeah, I've always been interested as well. It's like was it Lady Godfrey's or something? Like it seems like
Godey's,
Godey's. Yeah. I'm always interested in seeing what that looks like too.
Yeah, well, go on eBay. That's a great place to see all of those things, and sometimes you can buy them. Sometimes you can buy them pretty inexpensively, depending on how bad somebody wants to get rid of stuff, and you can make off them. So absolutely. All right, so let's see. Prairie School by Lois Linsky is really good too. They get stuck at the school during one of the blizzards. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I've read that one. Yeah, she does. Lois Linsky does a lot of like different states.
Yes.
And kind of ties in what the state's known for.
In different regions and stuff. Yeah. I noticed that. Something I read or had in my possession by her, or somebody was talking about something. Strawberry Girl. So that's set in Florida. And I didn't realize, because that's a Newbery winner, and I was rereading that one a couple months ago. And I looked it up and realized it was part of a series, like you said, where she did several different children's books set in different states. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, Strawberry Girl's my entryway to her too, because I'm trying to read the Newbery as well. So that's how
Yeah,
Stumbled upon
Strawberry
her.
Girl is a good one. So she says, remember the magazine, not the name. So it's Youth's Companions. I'm an S on both. Strawberry Girl is Florida. Yep. It is set actually like right in the part of Florida where I live. All right. What does Laura give Carrie for Christmas? I thought this is sweet too, how they could just come up with Christmas gifts for each other. And it's just so sweet and simple and just really nice.
All the Christmases I've read about are all blending together, and I
I
can't pull
know.
out what this one.
I'm remembering the scene, but I remember what Ma gets and what Pa gets, but I'm not remembering what Carrie gets.
All right. So Ashley got it right. An embroidered picture frame. So let me read you the quote. It says, while she put the tiny needle through the perforations in the cardboard and drew the fine colored wool carefully after it, she was thinking how wistfully Carrie had looked at the beautiful thing. She decided to give it to Carrie for Christmas. So it was something that she already had, and she decided to give it to Carrie. All right. Next question. What does Laura help Pa make after the coal runs out? What does Laura help Pa make after the coal runs out? All right, what do y'all think?
It was like those hay braided things that
the hay stick.
They twisted them. Yeah.
Angie says hat sticks. Yeah, and then she says, hey, not hat. I know.
Hat sticks.
Oh, and then you wrote, hey, not hay. So now when you're trying to correct, then autocorrect corrects it to hay. Don't you hate autocorrect sometimes? It's so
lovely thing.
We knew what you meant, Angie. I was just giving you a hard time. All right. Yeah, so the quote says, make hay sticks to burn as fuel. So the quote says, all that day and all the next day, Laura helped Pa twist hay while Ma kept the fire going. And I was just thinking about, so hang on, before I talk about that, I don't want to spoil one of the other questions, and then we'll chat again about what they did to keep busy. All right. What do the Ingalls use to grind wheat? What did they use to grind wheat? This one I did remember. A couple people have gotten it. Yep. All right. What do y'all think?
The coffee mill?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yep. It was the coffee grinder or coffee mill. Let's see. They call it a coffee mill. Pause. Can you make bread out of that? Oh, wait. Can you break? My goodness, I can't read today. Can you make bread of that? Pa asked when he brought in the wheat from the Wilders. Of course I can, Ma replied, but we must keep the mill grinding if I'm to have enough to make a loaf for dinner. So, I was thinking it makes, it brings up the point that once they started having to make the hay sticks, somebody was always working on the hay sticks. And once they brought in the wheat, somebody was always grinding the wheat, and they would take turns doing those things in order to have enough. They would just like Carrie, was just constantly having to do that. And I just thought it was neat how they all had their job, and they were, they just all, I'm sure she doesn't say, I don't want to say they didn't complain, because they may have. She just didn't bring that up. I'm sure I would have, especially if I'd been Carrie, I'd have been like, Mom, how long do I have to do this? But they knew that their survival depended on it. I think even Carrie at age 10, she knew that if I don't grind this wheat, we don't have bread to eat. And and Mary, even though she was blind, she held on to Grace and entertained her. So they all had their contribution to make to the family. And I just thought it was just a good snapshot of how they all worked symbiotically to survive. So that was great.
Yeah, it stuck in my mind too how they didn't complain. I always like it's like seems like internally they complain, but they never actually voice it and like bring down the whole family. They try to keep it, you know,
Right.
it seems like as calm as possible, like not make a difficult situation even harder.
Yeah, yeah. Because what's it going to gain you to complain? Nothing. It's just going to make things worse if you dwell on what you don't have. So it's better just to
And then
keep
you're
it
wasting time.
positive. Yeah, exactly. I used to have a coworker who would just shut down. He might ask you, you know, how's your day or whatever, and if you started saying, "Oh yeah, well," he would just turn away. He did not want to hear a complaint. He was like, "There's life's too short for that. I don't need to hear that," you know, that kind of a thing. And we were like walking out towards the parking lot one day, and we've been having an interesting conversation. And then I was just making conversation, and I was started saying something about what I had to do, and he took that as complaining, and he just like shut down. And all of a sudden, and so I started reflecting on what did I say, and I was like, oh my goodness, I can see how that would have been construed as a complaint when I thought I was just talking, and you know, he wasn't wrong. Life's too short to to complain. So make it positive or don't say it at all. All right. How much does Mr. Loftus pay Almanzo and Cap for the seed wheat? So how much does Mr. Loftus pay Almanzo and Cap for the seed wheat? And I don't know, I don't remember the total amount. One person, oh, hey, Kat, she's doing like by the pound, and then Ashley is saying how much overall, and I don't remember. And this doesn't actually.
It was the same amount as they had paid.
Right. So I guess this question is how much extra did he pay them to go and get it? That's what the question is actually asking.
Okay.
So not what did Mr. Loftus pay for the wheat, but what did he pay Almanzo and Cap to go and get it?
I don't remember.
I think like they refused paying.
Yeah, I don't think there was any money changed.
Yeah, they refused to take any.
The answer was nothing. And I think he may have offered to pay them some because, you know, he was a businessman. So that's what he was thinking. You know, why would anybody do this? The quote says, Almanzo was angry too. Get it through your head if you can. There's not money enough in the mint to pay for that trip. We didn't make it for you, and you can't pay us for it. This was after he had raised the price so much to try to resell it that they were trying to settle it. And so
this is the farmer that they got it from, right? Not the store owner?
No, this is the store owner. Mr. Loftus is the store owner. Yeah. So it's asking how much does Mr. Loftus, the store owner, pay Almanzo and Cap for the seed wheat? And he had given them money ahead of time to pay for the wheat. So they gave him back the change. And he even said, oh, you couldn't have done any better. And they said, nope. You know? And so they did not take any extra money because, like Almanzo said, there's not enough money in the world to pay for that trip. In other words, they were saying they basically had risked their lives to do it. They didn't do it for the money. They did it to save the town, so you can't put a price on that, I think is what he was saying. So anyway, and then I think in the end, Mr. Loftus ended up selling it for what he paid for it. After everybody complained, and they were even willing to pay a fair price, but he was trying to gouge them. And I think Paul may have made the comment that, look, they might pay it now, but you're probably not going to get any business from these people once they have the option to buy elsewhere. So think about your future.
I thought that was Almanzo who said, like, if you
been.
do this, like, you're going against everything that we just did, essentially.
Yeah, and that's what he said. Yeah, he said we didn't make the trip for you. You can't pay us for it. Yeah, there was more to it than that, but Yes. All right. So number 17. What is the Chinook?
I live in Canada. I know what a Chinook is.
Okay. Well, why don't you be the first to answer then?
It's when the spring comes drastically during the winter and suddenly the snow is gone.
Okay. And it's a wind, right? That just like blows the
Yeah, it's warm
snow
wind
away.
and it's like goes from winter to spring in a second.
Nice. And does it cause any other kind of precipitation? Like,
I just know it causes headaches for me. So
Like a pressure change, kind of.
yeah, temperature change. But it's a very interesting thing, and it can go backwards. Like you can have spring, and then next week it can be winter again.
wow.
But
So it doesn't necessarily mean that spring is here. It's just like a fluke.
at least here in
thing.
Canada, at least northern Alberta area where I was at school. So yeah,
Yeah. So
we had Chinooks
Ashley's
every other week. It was great.
Oh no.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean like it's a wind direction. If it's coming from the south where it's warmer or north, what's giving you the different cold. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Jamie, this is what they were saying last year when we opened this book and we started doing Little House in the Big Woods. They're like, "Oh, I haven't read this one recently." so next year, even though our group read is going to be the Little Old Town in the Green Groves, we will do questions for a Little House on the Prairie, which will go back. That's the next one in the book. So brush up on your Little House book. Little House on the Prairie. So Ashley says, hang on, spring winds, and the wind is blowing, winds from the west. And Kat says, that's incredible. All right. So we have one question left, right? Oh, and the answer says the wind of spring. The Chinook, the wind of spring was blowing. That was the quote. All right, one question left. What is Mr. Boast's Christmas in May present to the Ingalls family? It was a small thing, but I'm sure very appreciated. Mr. and Mrs. Boast, they had stayed out on their claim during the winter, and so they came in May, and they had a Christmas dinner in May with them, and they brought a present. Y'all remember?
Butter.
I was thinking what they got on the train, but that's not what the Boast gave them. That's like what they got from
Because their cow managed to produce enough milk to make butter.
Yeah. Yeah. The Boast didn't come on the train. It was from their farm. Yeah. So, and you're correct. So it's butter. You remember that commercial? Butter. Kat says a barrel. It wasn't a barrel of butter.
Yeah, that's the train one. That's separate. Yeah. A separate May.
Oh yeah. That was the
turkey and the clothes.
Delayed Christmas
barrel
presents.
came on the train. Yeah. That's what you're thinking of.
Yeah. But I knew that wasn't the Boast.
Yeah. So the quote says, Laura undid the paper. There on a small plate was a ball of butter. Very cool. All right. That was all 18 questions from the Little House trivia book. That is where I have gotten these questions from. This is a book that is, if you want to find one on your own, it came from Scholastic. I got it probably at a library book sale, and you could probably find one in case you want to cheat next year and read the questions. But don't do that because it's fun I didn't even look ahead. I just opened this up and read the questions. So I didn't know what was coming myself. So, all right. Any last words or comments from all of you in the chat or from Naomi or Lindsay? Tell us what you got going on your channel coming up and anything else you want to share before we go. So Naomi, you go first.
I have a lot of filming to do. I've had some trouble with my editing software, so I'm trying something new. My last video that I put up, which was the Little House reading vlog, was with the new software, so I'm like hoping it was good. We'll see. Let me know.
Just watch it. It's on my list.
Let me know if it's okay. But yeah, so I have to do some filming to catch up because of not having a good editing software in place. But I don't have many other big plans. I know that I'm hosting a readathon in May with Emily from Novell Novels. So that one, hopefully we'll have an announcement out soon. It's going to be focusing on people like on invisible illnesses and disabilities in books. So it's going to be a good time. But
Okay.
right now I'm just trying to catch up.
Have y'all done that one before?
No, it'll be a
No?
first time.
Okay. All right. Great. In May.
Yeah.
Look forward to that. What about you, Lindsay? What have you
For
got?
me, this week just flew by for me. The 4 days went by so fast. So I'm hoping to again test some of these recipes and like show them, and then also I'm like gonna do my library shelf tour of the Little House books that I have. So I'm gonna
Nice.
do those, even though it's after the readathon.
Oh, yeah.
4 days. I'm just like I'm blinking. Like, what day is it? Oh, it's already the last day. I'm like, okay.
4 days can go by fast. Yeah.
Especially weekdays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the weekdays. Yeah, in itself is
I wonder, I should look ahead and see how it falls. Well, it's probably not going to be much better next year.
It's probably going to be Tuesday to Friday. Nope. Wednesday to Saturday.
This was Tuesday to Friday, so it might be Wednesday to Saturday next year. So that'll be fine. That'll be fine.
At least we'll have Saturday.
Yeah. And then we can do our live stream maybe on Sunday afternoon like this too. So, all right. Anything else? Did you finish what you were saying, Lindsay?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's go through the comments real quick. She says they did enjoy their butter. Ashley says, can you post the name of the book in Burr Oak again? Yes, it is by Cynthia Rylant. Yeah, we've got 2 different editions of it here. Old the Green Groves. So whichever one you can get your hand on, it will be it'll be the right book. Cynthia Rylant, Rylant. And thank you all for coming here. Oh, so she had said, nice, everything better with butter. Yeah, so that's what she said. They did enjoy their butter. So thank you all for coming. Thank you, Megan. This has been fun. Everyone just you're sweet, Kimmy. Thank you so much. This was a lot of fun. Yes, I'm so glad y'all all came. This was great fun as always. Thank you so much, Breezy. Thank you. Thank you, Danielle. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, Julie. And thank you, Jamie. Thank you so much. Yes, I'm glad you got to catch the tail end of it too. You had a rehearsal this afternoon. Awesome. Did you reread The Long Winter? So, and Ashley, thank you so much for coming. And it's Super Bowl. How many of y'all in the chat are going to watch the Super Bowl? It is 5:36 here. I think kickoff's at 6:30 or something. They're probably already doing pregame stuff. We're not Super Bowl people, but I wanted to be conscious of the fact that some people are, and you might like to go and watch it. So
we have our priorities in line. Our priorities are books.
Yeah. I'm gonna be reading. It's gonna be on the TV, and I'm just gonna read and like support. And I'm like, oh, something happened. Okay, yay!
There you go.
What's gonna happen?
An iconic moment of my reading life was when I was reading at a hockey game, like a live hockey game. I was reading, and my family's like, "What are you doing? We paid for a ticket." It's not very interesting right now.
I like the commercials at least for the Super Bowl, but yeah. I have a hard time following. I'm not used to watching sports that much, so I will watch the Super Bowl, it's, big event, whatever. But I can't follow what's happening. I'm like, where's the ball and what's going on and why is there a foul? And it's baffling.
So Cammie says no Super Bowl. Ashley says, my husband and kids are going to a youth party, but I'll be staying home and reading. Yeah, no Super Bowl for me, and you'll be reading. Okay, well, cool. So I don't feel so bad that we probably, anybody who would have who wants to watch the Super Bowl wasn't too worried about us. They're already watching the Super Bowl. So you guys are here and you're faithful, and thank you so much for coming. But still, I just wanted to be conscious of the fact that some of you might want to leave here and go do that. And I'm sorry about the changes. We were trying to work things around other BookTube events, and that's why there was last minute changes. We had originally announced we were going to do this yesterday, but I'm glad we moved it to today because I was still reading through.
Same here.
Today. Yeah. In fact, I don't want to spoil too much, but I don't have a physical copy, but Lindsay said she's still reading it. But one of the books I did read was Karen Grassley's memoir. And, I finished it and I was like, I don't know how I feel about this because, it's not like when you read a memoir, you don't want to critique someone's life. You're not saying, oh, I don't like your life. but then I read a few other reviews, and some people thought that she was just kind of like complaining a lot and whining and stuff, and she kind of like tried to um get over that by, looking to alcohol and pot and things like that. So, what I would say about it is that it kind of made me sad, um, that she felt like that was her escape. It was her only escape, from the negative stuff. And I thought she's very brave to talk about it all, but it was pretty explicit. There were a lot of sex talk and things like that. So I don't know if she was trying to show how, I'm not really Ma, I'm my own person, that kind of a thing. So I don't know, Jamie, you read it. So Jamie says, I agree. It was disappointing. It was interesting, but I've kind of felt like a lot of people I read in their reviews that they would have liked to have just heard more about life as Ma and doing the show and the background of the show and things like that. And she only talked about that a little bit. So
yeah, that's why I picked it up. And I'm like, yeah, it's just I'm in that section right now where she's talking about her time there. And that's the most interesting part for me. Like,
yeah,
I understand she wants to give a backstory, but I it's not as interesting, I think, as
right
on the scene part.
And
I always feel like when you're reading a memoir or something, it's really good to judge how it's being displayed and what content was chosen to be put into the book.
Right.
Not like you're discouraging someone's life and what their experiences were, but you are saying, was what's in the book contributing to the book? And is that what you have been promoting? And also, how is it being explained and told? Like, that's what you can critique, I feel like, in a rating for a memoir.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
That's disappointing. She's capitulating on that.
Oh, sorry. And that's already just in the name. So I thought it would be a big focus, but
right. Yeah. With the picture in her costume, on the cover and all that kind of stuff. So, and I wondered why she waited like 40 years to talk about it, because that's another thing too. You'll find when you get near the end is like she talks about her time up to the end of doing Little House, and then she kind of skips to now. And there was some other comments and reviews. People were like, well, what did she do in between time? She could have talked about that, but I don't know. Maybe she thought that part was boring. I don't know. So it was a little disappointing, but, and she said, yeah, very sad. I'm still glad that I read it. But I didn't love the parts of her life that she chose to talk about. I guess that would be one way to put it. As far as what Naomi said, the stuff she chose to talk about was a lot of her escapades and things like that. And, I didn't need to know that, really. I didn't need to know, but I'm glad that she did get sober. I'm glad that she figured that out when she did, and, got to a better place in her life so that she could look back and write about it, and I thought she was very brave to write about it, for sure. So, all right. Anything else? Kathy, hello. Glad I found you recently. I'm a Laura fan forever, and I even found a book that I hadn't seen before at a book sale this week. What a great readathon theme. Well, we do this every year from the 7th to the 10th, because that is when Laura Ingalls was born, on the 7th, died on the 10th. And tell us, you can't just leave us hanging before we go. What book had you never seen before at a book sale? Tell us what you found. We need to know, and we'll let you know if we've read it. And if
my eyes are always peeled for those.
There's so many Laura books. I have a separate shelf on my Goodreads. If y'all go to my Goodreads page, I have a shelf that's for anything Laura Ingalls Wilder related. So I'm always adding books to that list. So
I have the same thing for Agatha Christie. It's a love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're waiting, Kathy. You got to tell us the title. I can't go off here without knowing what you found. I love book sales. I had 2 library book sales this past week, and I've got one coming up this week. So it's my
I'm always envious when you show your library sale hauls, because like you can get like bags of books for very little, like $3 or $5 or something. Whereas here, at least the ones I've gone to, It's very rare to have like you can get like fill a bag. I've only been to one that has it. All the rest of them
That's
are
not
like
mine
$2 or
either.
$3 for one book. So yeah.
Well, they usually start out like the first day or two, it'll be individually priced. And then by the last day or next to last day, they'll start, fill a bag for X amount, So that's what that's my favorite kind of sales. And I have not been showing my book hauls lately because I've been buying stuff to resell. And I know that's kind of boring for some people, but the last time I did one was kind of a vlog where I just showed the bags, like the big bags. But I've been trying to do better because sometimes I'll buy, bags and bags of books and I let them sit around. And these last two sales, I was like, I am not going to do that. I'm going to get those out and sort them and start listing. So that's what I've been doing. But I have pulled out some that I bought to keep, and I need to do some kind of a book haul. I just don't have time right now. So Ashley says, how do you find book sales? I only ever found one close in my immediate area. Well, I'm glad you asked. Everybody write this down, www.booksalefinder.com. And that is where you can find out where the library sales are all over the country. I don't know if they have Canada. I think, Ashley, are you in Canada? I don't know if it's Canadian as well, but I know it's the United States. Kat says,
I know mine is with my library. Like the Friends of the Library to put on a book sale a couple times a year. And that's where I go to the library book sales or to those kind of cheaper book sales.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the way to do it. My library has them once a quarter, but it's only on one day. Because they don't have a lot, but they do just like from the time the library opens at 10 in the morning, only until 1:30 in the afternoon.
Oh, wow, so very limited time.
Very short, but they have out maybe 6 or 8 tables, and it's fill a bag for $1. So
you can't beat that. Yeah.
Get there, you can clean up. It's good. So, all right. Well, maybe Kathy has to know already. Kathy, I was hoping you'd tell us the book that you found. Anyway, I guess we'll never know. Kathy, if you ever come back and watch this again, leave it in the comments so that we can know. So Ashley, booksalefinder.com is how I find out about library sales. And Kat says library sales are fabulous. I am fortunate to live close to a Friends of the Library store that opens for 2 days monthly. Awesome. Most of the ones that I have that are around here are open every day that the library's open, but there is one in Gainesville, Florida, which is where University of Florida is. They only open theirs 2 or 3 times a year, and they have just this huge blowout sale. And by the last day, it's 10 cents. I think 10 cents a book.
Wow.
And some friends of mine went on 10-cent day, and they were like, I'm not going there again on 10-cent day. It's dangerous. Like people are just grabbing it, But really, 10 cents a book, I don't think is as good as fill a bag. So, well, it depends on fill a bag for how much. So I don't know.
And it depends what's left on that day too, right?
Yeah.
Like it's better to get spend 10 cents on a really good book than a bag full of books you're never gonna enjoy.
Yeah. But the pressure when it's fill a bag, you don't have to worry about looking it up and deciding. It's like, okay, this looks interesting. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in my bag, and then when I get home, then I'll look at it more closely. Yeah. So that's what I do. So Ashley is in South Carolina. Okay, yeah. So Book Sale Finder, just check that out, and you'll be able to see. So thanks, Jamie, so much for coming. All right, I guess that is all we have, unless Kathy pops in here with the name of the book. She's never seen before. Curious minds want to know. All right, so everybody in the comments, thank you for coming. Thank you, Naomi and Lindsay, for co-hosting this with me and for being here today and for just putting up with my wishy-washiness of when to even have this. So thank y'all so much. And
there's the answer.
Okay.
The answer.
Yes. Okay, wait. Here we go. It's by William Anderson, and it's Laura Ingalls Wilder, a biography. It was paperback, and I was glad to add it to my shelf of all Laura collection items I've been gathering for many decades. Okay, cool. Yeah, he's got a couple, and I don't know.
Yeah, he edited this one.
Which one it is, but very good. Good. Whew, now I know.
Anyways.
So she's like hand waving. She's waving to us. Thank you. Oh, so Lindsay, do you want to show us your book before we go? The one that you you said it was. Can you get to it?
Oh, okay. Yeah. One second. Let me go. I'll go grab it.
Okay, if you want to turn off your camera or whatever. For those of you who got here a little later, she was telling us about when we were talking about Pioneer Girl. She has one that has like all 3 editions of Pioneer Girl, like side by side into one big book, and it sounded really interesting.
Sounded like a project. To read a
does.
book like that, I feel like it's not about reading the story; it's about reading the differences.
Mm-hmm.
And that would just take too much of my read it all brain to read.
Yeah. And I think Pioneer Girl did a pretty good job of that, where they talked about, in the annotations, in like, I think, didn't they say that the version they printed was a certain one, and then
yeah, there's something about that.
So this is Pioneer Girl. So you can see
yes.
like the size. And then
right.
This one is so I need to
you lift it with one hand.
Pioneer Girl, the revised text.
Oh my goodness.
It has the same like pretty watercolor cover. So you can see
never seen that.
The size.
Oh my, it's even bigger.
Oh.
So,
okay, so open up that one. Let us see the inside. I have never seen that.
Yes, the press. What is the name of this?
So
like, out.
In Pioneer Girl, they talk about in the annotations, like, okay, this is the one version, but then in this version it leaves this out, and this version it leaves that out. But this, you said this one actually shows all 3 versions.
Yeah. So it's a South Dakota Historical Society press, and it's part of the Pioneer Girl Project. So and there's a bunch of talk about the introduction pages. There's a whole section here of that. But then I don't know if you can.
Is that each column was one edition?
This is all. It's like there's 3 editions in here of Pioneer Girl, and it's one second. We can find.
So, like, if they're the same, it's just the one. But then when it divides out, it divides them out.
Let me see if the description here tells me. It's like the different editors for it.
Wow.
And it's so unwieldy. It's
really.
Cool. But it's 3 typescripts from the original Pioneer Girl, and who are the editor Nancy Tysted Kupel and other editors. So I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to read it, because it gives you like each page, each section is is like a duplicate of this one right here.
Oh,
it's
and then of course there are footnotes on the side, right? Like
and there's this on the side, describing the differences, and
that's massive.
Yeah, so it's like.
Oh my goodness!
Oh my word!
I have the other one.
Next year that's our group rate. I'm just kidding.
Thank you.
And then this is the other book I have from them. This is Pioneer Girl Perspectives, and this is Exploring Laura Ingalls Wilder. So this is a more readable book, and it's just like I was saying, essays, and it's a collection of different people who knew her or had essays. Yeah, short kind of short stories about her. Yeah.
Go ahead.
They all have really pretty covers, but
open it up and let us see the inside of that one.
Yeah. So this one has pictures and
okay.
It's not as dense, because I mean there's no section here of like a side.
Sometimes those footnotes would be like just as long as the actual, or even longer than the text itself on the page.
So this one doesn't have as many footnotes, but it has a lot more pictures and whatnot.
Okay.
So yeah, there's that one.
Neat.
Very nice.
Wow. All right. I don't know if anybody's still left, if they've all already
gone.
So we're all still here. Okay, good, cool. Well, thanks for hanging out there, y'all, in the comments and watching that, because that was really interesting. I have never seen either of those, so thank you for hearing that. Now we all need to go out and get them. At least the one that's more readable. I really want to have the other one too. I want to have.
That can be your next year's project, Lizzie.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm reading my big epic read this year is the sequel to Pillars of the Earth, which last year I read Pillars of the Earth and Pioneer Girl, which were both taking me like all year. This year I'm just reading World Without End. That's my big epic read for the year. And so next year, and there's 2 more in that series. There's a 3rd book, and then there's a prequel. So
and they all like dictionary size?
Door stops, yeah. At least I think they all are actually, like 1,000 pages. So anyway, I've got my reading cut out for me. So all right, well, I've been trying to trying to get off here. I do this at home too. It's like I get out the door and I think, oh, I remembered something. I have to come back inside. And then I go out again. Oh, I remember. I go in and out a million times. Some people can just get off a live stream and it's like, okay, bye. And they're gone. And I'm like, well, that was sudden. I'm not sudden. But I will go now. Thank you all, everyone. Have a happy weekend, or well, it's Sunday night. So
yeah.
Great
Well,
week.
till next year.
Yes. All right, y'all. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.